This is the Extra Point Podcast from Arizona's family.
Well, never a dull moment this season with the Arizona Cardinals. Been one story after another, and I'm sitting with Josh Weinfuss this morning over at Fiesta Bowl Media Day, and we look at our phones, and J.J. Watt is retiring. Now Josh Weinfuss, the ESPN Cardinal reporter, joins us from where were you shopping? Where are you at right now?
I am sitting in my car waiting to pick up my son from daycare. I was at Costco filling up for what's left. Let's say Tuesday, Monday. It's Tuesday. I have no idea what day it is.
No, me
Rest
either.
of the week, and then maybe the weekend. I have no idea.
The glamorous life of an NFL reporter on daddy duty and covering college football today. I would imagine we're probably going to have a busy day over at Cardinals tomorrow. We haven't heard anything from J.J. Watt except for the tweet. You think he'll have the big press conference with the tears, or how do you think this plays out?
I don't know. It's a good question. Like he usually talks, if he does talk during the week, on Fridays. So maybe he waits till then. I doubt it. I'm sure. My guess is I'll probably have him talk to us at the podium tomorrow just to kind of answer our questions and talk a little bit more in depth. That's my hope. That's kind of my guess, but I've been doing this long enough to know nothing's guaranteed. So
Right.
I sure hope it is, because like he did the smart thing, in my opinion. He announced with 2 weeks left, so he'll have 2 weeks of celebration for his outstanding career. And I think that he's the type of guy that will want to talk about it, that will want to reflect. I could see a press conference like that going 10, 20, 30 minutes. Like,
Right.
I could see him just talking and talking and talking. So I hope it happens.
No, I do too, and I think it's worth celebrating. I mean, he's brought so much to the game of football, and I know he wanted to do more here in Arizona. But as you kind of reflect on what he brought to the Cardinals, and if there's a legacy he left and what they're going to have to replace with J.J. Watt, what is going to have to be replaced once he hangs him up here?
To me, the biggest void he's going to leave is in the locker room. It is as a leader, as a first ballot Hall of Famer, that these guys, young and old, had a front row seat to watch. And, from the way he handled himself in the weight room to pregame, postgame, during the week, recovery, what he ate, everything. Like, that is so hard to find a guy doing all of that at such a high level throughout his career, still doing it this late in his career. So to find that type of guidance, of mentorship, of leadership, like, they are going to have to go find another veteran to fill that space, because they don't really have many of those types of players in the locker room, especially with so many guys getting ready for free agency. A lot of that's going to go. They brought in guys like him and AJ Green. Well, they're both free. JJ's obviously retiring. He wasn't going to be a free agent. AJ's going to be a free agent. Like, they are going to have to fill the void of JJ's presence, and that's going to be very hard to do.
No, for sure. And I think it's going to be a totally different team next year. They're paying Kyler Murray so much money, so that you're not going to have the luxury maybe of having a guy like J.J. Watt there to set the tempo, and a guy like Zach Allen is really going to have to step up and fill his shoes. And maybe that's why they brought him in, to kind of just unload all of his knowledge in his head to a guy like that. As you watched J.J. Watt on Christmas night, you think that was the best game he played as a Cardinal?
One of them, right? I mean, he had some really good games at the beginning of last year, but I would say the best game he's played might have been the Denver game, the first half of the Denver game.
Right.
3 sacks, like, just dominated. Like, he single-handedly forced an offense to change everything they were doing. And when you have a game like that, that's going to go down as one of, I don't want to say one of his best. Well, it will go down as one of his best games, because I don't think he ever had. I think that was the first time he had 3 sacks and a half. So he forced the Broncos to run the ball, like, just run the ball. So I would say he's playing some of his better football at 33 years old down the stretch of a season. Like, that's tough to do for guys who are in their in their 30s. So he's on the verge of double-digit sacks. He hasn't had that for about 4 years. So he's playing some very good football. And you know what? I'm sure he feels very good that he's going out on a high note, instead of some of these guys who go out kind of struggling, kind of past their prime. He looks like he's still in his prime.
Yeah, it kind of reminds you of Kurt Warner there at the end, playing his best game, and then we never got to see him play again. And you're kind of like, come on, man. Why would you walk away now?
Right.
But you look at what happened in Charlotte earlier this year, and it was emotional. It was JJ was emotional, and talking about having his heart shocked back into place. I would imagine that kind of made him reconsider or made him think about retirement. From your perspective in talking to him, how much of an impact do you think that had on him?
I'm sure it had some. I'm sure it was a combination of a lot of things. I'm sure it was the fact that he's going to be a free agent again, and he's watching a team from the inside that's going to have to be torn down or will be torn down and rebuilt. And he probably doesn't want to go through that again. He probably doesn't want to move again. He had the heart issue. He's he is playing good ball, and it might be a little hard to walk away, but at the same time, it might be a little easier to walk away. So I think, his decision is probably a combination of all that. He just had his son, Ko is 2 months old. So I know he wants to be home for that. I know, his wife is going to start, her journey back to playing professional soccer soon. So, I think just you put all of that together, and he probably felt, this is the right time, football-wise, personal-wise, to just step away and start the next chapter of his life.
Man, I thought maybe he would try to do one either with the Packers or his brothers in Pittsburgh. But it's probably tough to find salary cap dollars for a guy who's a little older and trying to stick him into a locker room. But that would have been fun to see, right? All the Watt brothers. That's like all the Alou brothers in baseball.
I think it would have been more fun to watch him with his brothers than it would have been with him with the Packers, because it's not like the Packers are very good either, So sure, we would have been back home, and I don't know, but I don't think he grew up. I don't know if his parents lived that close to Green Bay, and obviously it's a heck of a lot closer to Green Bay than it is to Phoenix. I get that, but going back and having to live in the cold and play in the cold, like, does he want to do that at this age? Especially when he went from Houston to here. Like, this is good. These are great cold, winter cities. Like, the weather's great here during that time of year. So I doubt he wanted to do that, but it would have been cool to see him and his brothers pair up, just for a whole season, just kind of do it once, get those jerseys on the wall, and and call it a day. But at the same time, I think he wanted to, he also, I think he's a big fan of his own legacy, and he doesn't want to step on their toes. I'm sure they don't want to step on his toes. I'm sure he felt that to some degree, if he had gone to Pittsburgh for a year, that the attention would have been solely on him and the brothers, and I don't think he wanted to do that.
Interesting. Yeah, that's that I would have liked to see it, though. The two Watt brothers on the defensive line meeting at the quarterback. Over under, I don't know if we can set odds with like one of those gambling houses of you and JJ both ended up on ESPN together at the same time. I mean, because you've been all over the place, man. You were on SportsCenter, like, oh, when are you going to host SportsCenter?
Never. I could see him doing some TV work, I don't think he can do a ton of it because it's kind of time consuming, especially when he has to go to the East Coast from here to do it. But I could totally see him getting involved in some way, shape, or form. Maybe I'll walk through the ESPN CAF one day in Bristol and see him there, and we'll shoot the bull and, catch up and chat. But I don't know. Maybe one day we'll see each other sharing a screen. You never know.
All right, and for you, I mean, you were all over the television this weekend at the Tampa game. So tell us about your weekend, and when can we next see you on TV besides on Channel 3 in about 45 minutes and the Extra Point tonight at 10:35?
I don't know. Like, it happens so infrequently these days, and a large part of that because the Cardinals are not having a good season. So I don't know when I'll be on TV again, but I'm kind of at that stage where I'm ready. I'm kind of that pinch hitter where, you call me off the bench, I'll be ready to go swing a bat. But the last few days have been busy, but starting with Friday when, my big story on the Cardinals situation, internally dropped. And then, you have Sunday night, I did TV Sunday mornings, Sunday night after the game, just kind of been a whirlwind. And obviously, like you said, at the top, like, we are standing at it was the beginning of Michigan's media day, the offensive media day. And all of a sudden, boom, JJ Watt retires. Like, it's nonstop in this team. There's storylines every single day. Yesterday, Budda Baker got ruled out for the rest of the year. Like, there's always something with this team, and there's literally no time to rest. So the end of the season is going to be here in a couple of weeks, and that'll be I'll be looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think I will be as well. I cannot believe this. I need to circle back to this because you did bring that up, and that's one of the reasons I had you on here, but there's been so much going on. So, yeah, your story dropped on Friday, and that was a bombshell. So Cliff stepping away, what percentages are we looking at there of Cliff just calling it and saying I'm done?
It's a lot smaller now than I think it was earlier in the season and in the beginning of the season. It's not at zero yet. There's still definitely a possibility that he could do it. But I think that every time something happens with this team, it's less likely because there's more of a reason for him in his mind to come back because he'll have a full complement of players next year. Like he didn't have DeAndre Hopkins for 6 games. He didn't have Kyler Murray for 5 games. He didn't have his offensive line for a long, 4/5 of his offensive line was on the field for a lot of this season. Like there's always something, Zach Ertz, the tight end, was hurt. Like, Hollywood Brown missed time. There's always something. So I think in his mind, if he doesn't get fired, I think it's less likely that he walks away now than it was obviously in the beginning of the season because he knows what he's going to get back next year. And obviously injuries can hit again. All this stuff can happen again, but the odds of it being this bad are not as high as it obviously happening, which was 100%. But, I don't know. I just feel like he's going to want to come back and prove that he can do this. He's a very competitive person. There's a lot of money on the table for him to walk away from. But I think if it gets too bad internally, I don't think he will have a problem saying, you know what, I'm tired of this. My mental health, my physical health is way more important than this job. I already have a ton of money in the bank and just step away. But I just don't see it happening as much as I did, earlier in the year.
Well, and also who's the, I mean, people want, anybody would take an NFL head coaching job that's in the coaching profession because there's only 32 of them, but who's really going to come in and be able to, get Kyler Murray right? I mean, I don't think Sean Payton's coming here, is he?
My guess would be no. I think that there's too much out there about how this organization is run for him to take this job. Here's the thing. I think Kyler Murray would flourish under a lot of coaches. I don't think Cliff Kingsbury is the only guy who could coach him. I think there are guys who could coach him a lot better, a lot harder. And that's what he wants. And I think that there, like you said, the problem is that there are so many guys who will take the job because it's an NFL head coaching job. But if you're going to go out and get a guy who can take Kyler from here to here, you want that top tier of coaches. And to me, the biggest question is who among them that's available, knowing what they know about this organization, knowing that it's going to be a massive rebuild, will take that job. And I don't think that list is very long.
All right, I hope we didn't use all your gas that you just filled up with at Costco sitting here talking to us on the Extra Point podcast.
We're good.
All right. Hey, thanks so much for your time. We'll see you tomorrow and then probably the next day. And, I'm sure there won't be a whole lot else going on here in Valley Sports. There never is. Yeah.
I mean, it's only 3:45, so who knows what's going to happen by 4 o'clock? Result time.
This podcast is already obsolete, and we're not even done with it yet. Oh, man. All right. Hey, thanks so much for your time, man. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
The Extra Point Podcast is a production of 3TV, CBS5, and azfamily.com in Phoenix, Arizona.